But now we've reached another psychological point where they're basically saying, yes, I know a lot more people can see it now, but it doesn't matter because we're all powerful and we can do what we like, and we're going to show you that we can do what we like because we're going to put this on public display more and more and more. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to take us on because we're all powerful and we can do anything we want, or are you going to just be like good little sheep and good little slaves and just do what you're told, keep your head down, keep your mouth shut, and hope that will see you okay?
So they've now gone to the pure intimidation. They've taken the velvet glove off, and they go, you bet we gave children syphilis in injections in Guatemala.
Yes,
you bet we're poisoning your vaccine. You bet we run death camps. You bet Halliburton and DynCorp run child kidnapping rings. You bet we're evil, and so they're trying to intimidate us. You bet we're watching you if you hand out any literature. You don't do that in America or the UK. You bet we're listening to your phone calls. You bet we want to reduce your population, just like all these new TV ads and cartoons and video games where it shows the environmentalists murdering people if they don't accept the carbon tax dictatorship. Have you seen that new video?
I've not, but it makes absolute sense to this whole thing that we're talking about here, because we have reached the point now where, we've got to decide, are we going to be people who are going to stand up, or are we going to be mice and just scuttle away and try to hide in the corner or in the skirting board somewhere? Because this is what they're saying to us now. Okay, come on, you can see it. What are you going to do about it? And we need to have the courage and the backbone to say, yeah, we're not having it. We're not having it, because this is the truth. There's a fraction of the number of people in this world who are being manipulated, who are being intimidated, who are being having their lives controlled, who have been turned into a slave race. A fraction of those people on Earth are actually doing it, and the vast majority are having it done to them. I think I see a way out of this, and if we realize that the number advantage the manipulated, abused, and suppressed have over those who are in full awareness doing it, the game is over.
Absolutely, amen to that. The enemy is now out in the open. It has uncloaked itself. Are you going to stand up against this? Because submitting to it means death. We are back live. David Icke with us throughout the full next hour. A host of key topics and issues we're going to break down here, but we're going to continue along the line of humanity, get off your knees. This is bona fide, high-tech, brazen, out-of-control evil. Trillions missing at the Pentagon, trillions stolen by the banks, open world government, open biometrics going in at shopping malls, public schools, face scanners on the street. I mean, it's all here. Everything we warned you about. I want to read from Alexander Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago, who, of course, he was taken to the camps, and how we burned in the camps later, burning inside, thinking, what would things have been like if every security operative, when he went out at night to make an arrest, had been uncertain whether he would return alive and had to say goodbye to his family instead of their families being drug away and killed. Or if during periods of mass arrest, as for example in Leningrad, when they arrested a quarter of the entire city, people had not simply sat there in their lairs, palling and paling with terror at every bang on the downstairs door and at every step on the staircase, but had understood that they had nothing left to lose and had boldly set up in the downstairs hall an ambush of half a dozen people with axes, hammers, pokers, and whatever else was at hand. The organs would very quickly have suffered a shortage of officers and transport, and notwithstanding all of Stalin's thirst for blood, the cursed machine would have ground to a halt if we didn't love freedom enough. And even more, we had no awareness of the real situation. We're purely and simply deserved everything that happened afterward. Alexander I. Solzhenitsyn. David Icke, we are in not just a physical dictatorship, it's a psychological, pharmacological. They're poisoning our food, our water, everything. They are assaulting us now. We have to get angry and get in their face and be bold about this.
Well, it has to be a psychological control system because of the very thing I talked about before the break, Alex, numbers. They cannot control the human population through physical means. They can control that way in small areas in certain situations, but en masse they can't do it. They haven't got the numbers. They haven't got a fraction of the numbers. And so it has to be psychological because, of course, through the mind, we decide our behavior and perceptions, and therefore we decide our actions. And so it's a mind game. I've said this all along. It has to be because of the numbers involved here.
And we knew this 8 years ago, but they now admit the airports, the body scanners, the searches, the questions, that's now on the streets of the UK and the US and Europe, and they're literally training us to line up and answer questions everywhere. The schools are being turned into prisons. We're being inducted into slavery. Yeah, I mean, I've used this analogy many times over the years because I think it's so appropriate to what we're looking at, and that is the laboratory rat who's put in the maze of channels, and some of these channels have electric shock equipment in them, and when the rat goes down those channels, it gets an electric shock. It might go down that channel another time, maybe another couple of times if it's stupid, and it will get an electric shock. After that, you can take the electric shock equipment away. That rat will never go down that channel again because its behavior has been modified. It's been reprogrammed. And that's what all this is about, you see. When you look at this explosion, this staggering explosion of legislation that is dictating to the fine detail of our lives, you can do this, you can't do this, you can't say that, you can't even think that. We're moving into those kind of realms now. And what it is, it's like a fly stuck in a spider's web, and more the fly is wrapping the spider rather is wrapping the fly up in the web so it cannot move. More and more legislation equals less margin for maneuver, for thought, for perception, for uniqueness, for view, for expressing what you really for
think.
Underground economy. They're just shutting everything down, farms, ranches. Back in 70 seconds with David Icke, I'm Alex Jones. Okay, I briefly wanted to get back into the subject of ClimateGate, the global carbon taxes on carbon dioxide that we exhale, but meanwhile, the FDA is approving GMO salmon with insect and eel genes in it that gives rise on record to the extinction of regular salmon, that's major university studies, mutated viruses and bacteria, and this will open the door to thousands of these being approved, and you're not even allowed to know on the labeling if it's a chimera cross-species clone. And meanwhile, the environmentalists aren't worried about that. It's all a population reduction cult. They're now out in the open. Paul Watson's article, Climate Film Depicts Children Assassinated for Not Reducing Carbon Footprint. And I wanted to play a short clip. It starts with a teacher in a British school with what looks like about 6th graders. And they say, what are you going to do for 10-10 to cut your carbon? And some kids say, I'll do this, I'll do that. 3 or 4 say, I'm not going to do anything. She goes, fine, hits a button and murders them. They explode. Then it cuts to a business where they're murdering their employees, then murdering other people. And